Welcome back to another episode of the Unforgotten Project, where we cover all missing children cases. I'm D. Ellis. If you want to help out the channel, all you got to do is like, share, comment, and subscribe. It's free. Let's dive into this case.
Zachary Bernhardt disappeared when he was just 8 years old.
We were always together, so it's kind of hard because we all still get together.
For Billie Jo Jimenez and her family, life's happiest moments always come with a trace of sadness.
The thing is that he's still not home, so it's frustrating at the same time.
Billie Jo's nephew, Zachary.
On the morning of September 11th, 2000, an 8-year-old boy named Zachary Bernhardt disappeared from his apartment in Clearwater, Florida. There were no signs of forced entry, no witnesses who saw him leave, no ransom note, no confirmed sightings. More than 2 decades later, the case remains one of Florida's most haunting unsolved child disappearances and the state's longest running active Amber Alert. Today, we're going to be taking a closer look at this timeline, the investigation, the suspects, and the questions that investigators still haven't been able to answer. Zach lived with his mama, Leah Hackett, in the Savannah Trace Apartments in Clearwater. By all accounts, life wasn't easy. Leah was a single mama who had moved several times over the years, and the family was reportedly facing financial struggles. Zach's father wasn't involved in his life, leaving Leah as his sole caregiver. On the evening of September 10th, everything appeared normal. Leah later told police she put Zach in the bed around 11 p.m. Hours later, however, she claimed that she couldn't sleep. According to her account, sometime around 3:30 or 4 in the morning, she left the apartment to clear her head. She said that she took a short walk around the apartment complex and even went swimming in the community pool. When she returned roughly 15 to 30 minutes later, Zach was gone. At 4:47 a.m., she called 911. The apartment showed no signs of a struggle. Nothing appeared to be stolen, and Zach had simply vanished.
Be one too.
Zachary would now be 30 years old, making his case the longest running Amber Alert in Florida.
And then this here was his teddy bear.
His Aunt Billie Jo keeps Zach's favorite things as a boy very close. Memories of an inquisitive little boy.
The cops immediately launched a massive search. Hundreds of volunteers combed the nearby woods, the ponds, the vacant lots, and all the neighborhoods. Helicopters would fly overhead. Search dogs tracked every possible lead. Divers searched the bodies of waters. Investigators even examined nearby landfills. Despite all of those efforts, they found absolutely nothing. No clothing, no footprints, no physical evidence explaining where Zach had gone to. It was as if he disappeared into thin air. Almost immediately, investigators began scrutinizing Leah's story. Several aspects raised questions. Why leave an 8-year-old child asleep alone in the middle of the night? Why go swimming before dawn? Why leave the apartment unlocked, as she reportedly admitted? Police also found inconsistencies in some of her statements during the interviews. Investigators have publicly said over the years that they believe Leah knows more than she's being revealed, but they've also acknowledged that they never uncovered enough evidence to charge her with any crime related to Zach's disappearance. It's important to emphasize that suspicion alone is not proof. Leah had consistently denied harming her son and has maintained that someone abducted him while she was away. Without physical evidence, investigators have been unable to move beyond suspicion. As detectives explored other possibilities, another disturbing figure entered the investigation. A man named Kevin Gilbert lived near the apartment complex. Years after Zach disappeared, Gilbert was arrested after attempting to recruit an undercover police officer to help him kidnap, assault, and murder another young boy. During the investigation, authorities learned that Kevin had made statements suggesting involvement in a child's disappearance. At one point, he reportedly claimed responsibility for abducting a boy from Zach's apartment complex, but there were problems. He identified the wrong apartment. He described clothing that didn't match what Zach had been wearing. Investigators searched his house. They examined his computer. They searched a landfill after discovering he had visited one shortly after Zach disappeared. Nothing directly connected him to Zach's disappearance. DNA evidence also failed to establish a link. Although investigators have never completely ruled him out, they've never been able to have enough evidence to identify him as Zach's abductor. Then, in 2002, something happened that renewed fears about a predator operating nearby. Another young boy from the same apartment complex was abducted. According to reports, he was lured into a vehicle with the promise of ice cream. Hours later, he was found alive in another city after being abandoned. Naturally, investigators explored whether the two crimes would be connected. Despite similarities in location and the victims' ages, police were unable to establish a definitive link between the cases. To this day, no confirmed connection has ever been announced publicly. As the years have passed, the investigation has slowed down, but it never officially became cold. Clearwater police have reportedly stated that the detectives continue reviewing evidence as technology improves. Age progression images have been released over the years showing what Zach might look like today as an adult. Investigators have followed hundreds of tips, and unfortunately, none have led to breaking through. The case has produced several major theories. The first one, and perhaps the most discussed, is that someone inside Zach's circle knows exactly what happened. Supporters of this theory point to Leah's timeline, inconsistencies in her statements, and investigators' long-standing belief that she has withheld information. However, without evidence, this remains only a theory. The second theory involves a stranger abduction. If Leah's timeline is accurate, someone would have had a small window of opportunity to enter the apartment, to locate Zach, and to remove him without nobody. While difficult, stranger kidnappings have occurred under some unusual circumstances. The third possibility centers on Kevin Jailbert, or another identified sexual predator operating in the area. Given Kevin's criminal behavior involving children, many believe he deserves continued scrutiny. Still, investigators never have produced evidence placing him inside Zach's apartment that morning. Finally, some observers believe that the truth may involve circumstances that investigators simply haven't uncovered. Someone unknown, an overlooked witness, or evidence that has been lost with time. One of the most heartbreaking aspects of this case is how little evidence exists. There's no confirmed surveillance videos, no reliable witnesses, no verified forensic evidence pointing towards a suspect. Cases like this remind investigators just how difficult missing person investigations were before smartphones, home security cameras, GPS tracking, and widespread digital evidence. If the same disappearance occurred today, investigators might have access to dozens of cameras, location data, and digital records that simply didn't exist 26 years ago. Despite the passage of time, Zach's case remains open. His missing person case is still active. Law enforcement continues encouraging anyone with information, even information that may seem insignificant, to come forward. Sometimes a decades-old mystery is solved by a single forgotten conversation or one witness finally deciding to speak up. Today, Zach would be in his 30s. His family have never received answers, and one question continues to linger over Clearwater, Florida. How does an 8-year-old disappear from his own bed without leaving a trace in the middle of the night? Until someone comes forward or new evidence is discovered, that question remains unanswered. Let me know y'all's thoughts in the comments section. Do y'all think his mama has something to do with it? I know regardless of her leaving an 8-year-old child alone in the middle of the night is simply just crazy enough. But do you actually think that a random person would have been watching her and seen her leave in the middle of the night and gained access to the house with no forced entry and kidnap a kid? Allegedly, I don't know, you know. So this is allegedly, this is educational purposes only. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Till next time, peace.